Most people are using AI just for coding, and the idea is great. Okay, build your own business, create your own app, develop your own games, all good, all fun, great. Okay, you don't need to be a coder to start the next SaaS. All right, all good. We saw it, it works, it's possible to a level, but it's something that each one of us can explore. Now, there are things that AI can do that can only be done by AI. In the sense, while a software could be created by a software engineer, there are functionality that AI can do that we as a human can't. And let me explain, because this is how most of people should take advantage of AI, because most of us are not coders, and this it's what changes everything. After that I explain this, I will tell you what the kind of architecture you need, because this can be done through the cloud or locally. And there is a serious advantage of running this architecture locally. Now, like and subscribe, and let's start. What I'm talking about. Think about the AI. It's an incredible tool that can process a lot of data. Now, what about if we give to this AI some of our most private thinking, our private data, and use it to analyze it and give us feedback on how our brain is performing and how our brain is drifting through ideas? This is important because no one will ever have access to so much data. We are the only one. And because we can't do this on our own, or is extremely time consuming, or is extremely, we are extremely biased about it, it's something that we can do. But if you give this data to AI and try to use AI to find patterns, to find blind spot, to see strategic thinking that are missing, or to see if you are drifting towards an ideology that is changing the path of your entire life. This is possible because we can give years of data. So if you can give years of data, of course you have to collect this data. A lot of people does this through journaling or whatever. Sometimes it's through your social network interaction. So you have, I don't know, maybe you have a blog, maybe you have something that you've been sharing your knowledge. Now it is about capturing this knowledge, organizing it, and then give it to the AI through a series of different prompts. Now, I'm not gonna explain here in details those prompts. I'm gonna share in the description below, I'm gonna share the Substack article as a deep dive, explain all of this, give you some specific prompt, and also I include the architecture that you should use. So think about this at a high level now. Most of AI, their job is to agree with you. So we need to start architecting a system that actually build disagreement. Why this is so important? Because if I start talking with AI and become my mirror where it just tell me back what I think, then it's a tool that fortify a bubble. Create a bubble because I start seeing myself in it, and then it fortify because it keeps telling me I'm great, this is amazing, this is gonna work, let's do this together, this is awesome, and so on. So I'm gonna start living inside this bubble. And our job instead is to break those bubbles. It's normal that each one of us live inside a bubble, okay? We see the universe from our own eyes. We feel the world from our own senses. We don't even know if anything that is out there is real. So everything, it is a bubble for us. But now, how big is this bubble? That is the thing, okay? How can we make it so wide that we don't feel constrained with this, the limit of a narrow-minded system? That is our job. And we do this by breaking this constant bubble that we build. And if we have an AI that actually fortify those bubbles, then become harder and harder to get out. Already every person in a position of power risk to create to be in a bubble. Everybody agree with you, everybody tells you, this is amazing, yes, this is gonna work, and so on. So you are into that bubble. So even more and more you need a system that helps you breaking free. And this is created by engineering disagreement. So you need a system that challenges you. So think if you have this amazing business idea. It's beautiful, everybody likes it, you like it. And even AI see, okay, has potential. But now, how do you know that there are no blind spots? How do you know that there is could be optimized for something else? So you need something, a system that challenge the architecture that you're building. It's brutal. It's just trying to break it. It's gonna just put all the force to destroy it, okay? To make it something that is not usable because it's not a good idea. So you give so much power to that system, and now you need to defend it. Okay, now you have an AI that is start attacking your every single part of this idea, trying every single weakness, exploit any single elements that you didn't think through enough. And it's gonna ask you questions, gonna tell you a case scenario where this idea doesn't work. And if you start thinking and managing this and interacting with this reality, then you fortify. Now you have a much clear idea of what are the challenges, the risks, and blind spot that you didn't see, and opportunity that you didn't consider. That kind of work is not easy to achieve, and it's not easy to find, because unless you pay someone basically to analyze all your business, analyze everything, and then do take the role of challenging you, then it's not going to happen, because no one has the time to go through your entire history, reading all your business plan, your project, your idea, your philosophy, your values, and so on. Nobody has the time and, okay, or the energy to also challenge you at that kind of level. And that is where we have something that nothing else can provide to us. This is a way to use AI for high level thinking and strategies. So for everybody that is, I don't know, from a CEO of a company, or a philosopher, someone that, just creates creative ideas and innovates and so on. Everybody could use AI on this way, which is completely the opposite of replacing you. Okay, this is not a system that is optimizing to replace your thinking. This is a system that is optimized to challenge your thinking, so you become sharper, your idea become better. Okay, that is the AI that we need. This is the AI of the artisan. Okay, is the AI that empower, augment the way that you think, augment your abilities. Now, how do we achieve this? There are a few elements that are extremely important. One, like I explained, you need to collect your data. You need to have a place where everything goes there. I'm going to explain what kind of software you can use and what kind of strategy you can use, but let's first understand this. Okay, you need a living archive, an archive that keeps growing, where you put all your data. And that can be anything, okay? It depends on your work, but can be almost anything that is come out from your mind, because that's what you're trying to map. Try to understand how you think, what are the elements, your value, and so on. You could create dedicated document. I call those creative DNA, where you leverage AI to actually give you a series of questions and start mapping your values, your ideas, and so on. How I would do with this is you first give all you have to AI, and then ask AI if there are blind spots, okay, elements that AI needs to understand you better. On this, you get AI to ask you questions. So, for example, you explain, those are my values, and you give these three values. But unless you explain the values, how they are applied, they are theoretical. Okay, just a theory. This is my value is love everybody. Okay, that is the value. But let's give some specific example. Let's say I ask you a question and go deeper and deeper, and then you have something extremely defined. Now you have something that is look like your personal philosophy. Now you have something that is your North Star, that tells you this is who I am, that is where I'm going, this is my path. Okay, now you have this really clear. And because now it's clear, you can also find out over time, ask AI, check in the last 6 months, did I drift from my original philosophy? Am I moving somewhere? Is things are getting better? I'm getting more stressed. Is my mind getting more clear? So analyzing data over time, intellectual data, okay, over time can make a massive difference. Now, data is extremely important. So collecting is hard, require a strategy to do it, but it's also something that you need to protect because this is the value of the data is insane, and you don't want anybody to control the data, to read the data. So how can we use AI to actually work on this data without anybody having access to it? The best way is using local AI. Now, everybody say, okay, this is, yeah, okay, I can have your local data, but the AI that run locally is not good enough for doing something like this. And here is where I can give you the good news, because I'm experimenting this. I've been experimenting over months and months. Okay, I've been collecting data over, I don't know, over a year. I think I got in my system I got over 4 years of data collection from my thinking, my theory, and so on. Okay, I developed my own philosophy. I developed two philosophies actually, one for AI, one for the collective, and one for me. They overlap. And I every day I record on this recorder. I record my thinking. At least an hour a day. There is me thinking out loud, recording, and then sharing this recording with AI. There is my YouTube video. This is another way of thinking out loud. Okay, so there are my YouTube video, there are my article that are deep dive. I've been writing article for on AI on the last 4 years. So there is so much data that I have now gave to the AI. While most of this data are actually public, YouTube, the articles and so on, some of my data, my deep thinking that goes that get recorded, is actually not public. And so how do I deal with this? So I have a protocol that turn this audio recording into a transcription, and then a transcription get organized by through a prompt. Okay, a prompt organize my thinking in a way that is structured, clean up, but without changing or improving the meaning. Okay, the idea is to hold on those fragile ideas, hold them there. They don't need to be, optimized or anything. They just need to be there, present. So those documents get saved together with the raw data inside my living archive. My living archive stays inside my computer. Now, who has access to this? My local AI, okay, my local model. That is the only safe way to do it. And at the moment, I've been using different kind of model because I'm experimenting, trying to learn, and so on. Sometimes I have used cloud model because I want to see the gap. And my conclusion here is this one. At the moment, as today, there are two extremely good options. One for cloud, okay, and the other for local. The cloud one, I would never give my data to Anthropic or OpenAI or Google. Okay, not much to trust them. Everybody, all of them, will train on your data. There are options on the cloud that, of course, you need to trust because they say we don't train on your data, then you never know. But there are options out there that say they are not training on your data. And out of this option, which model I would use is the GLM 5.2. I really ran some tests, okay? And I tested different kind of model for this kind of work. And GLM 5.2 is incredible. It's actually incredible. It's better than the Frontier model. The Frontier model at the moment, they have this extremely optimized for coding. So the way that they write is actually not pleasant to read. Okay, not pleasant for high-level thinking. And so instead, I found this GLM 5.2 extremely good, and it's much cheaper. That is extremely important as well. You need to all work on a lot of data, and this is an extremely powerful tool, so you want to use it a lot and so on. So you want something that is actually affordable, not something that you think, shall I use it or not, because it's so expensive. So GLM 5.2, incredible model if you want to go on the cloud. What is extremely surprising is that I've managed to find a model that can do this kind of work and can be compared, and is incredibly good. I can't even believe that is possible. But there is Quen 3.6, 27 billion. This model, which is supposed to be mainly for coding and agentic work, but it is actually incredible. It's incredible how analyze the problem. It's incredible how well it writes, and it's just and plus it's such a small model, 27 billion. They can run on a lot of different hardware. Now, of course, the super cheap computers, because it's not going to be possible. Okay, but and a lot of MacBook Pro, and maybe even the Air one. I mean, any computer has 24, 35 gigabyte of RAM, should be able to run a quantization version of this model. Most of those Apples get to this kind of level. But if you have like a gaming PC, if you have 24 gigabyte of RAM or higher, you can run this model. Now, the problem that you might have is the speed at which this model run. More powerful is the system, highest the speed, the token per second. Why token per second is an element that we need to consider. Because the token per second gives you the speed at which you work with this AI. If it's too slow, you start to get frustrated, you start to get distracted, so you don't follow the interaction. Ideally, it depends on the person. You need something that can somehow match your speed of thinking. And doesn't mean that to think faster is better, okay? So don't think in those terms. But find something that match your way of thinking, means that you sit in front of this machine and you can operate at a speed that is comfortable for yourself. And that is extremely important, so you don't get distracted. You stay focused, you can go deeper and work. For me, I realized that unfortunately I need 50 plus tokens per second. Okay, under 50, I start to get frustrated. I can work at 30 tokens per second. There's no problem. I can work even at slower speed. But if I want a system that works for me constantly, I need to stay 50 plus. Okay, that is a kind of a requirement, because otherwise I start get frustrated, and a level of frustration is possible. And most people at 30 tokens per second are extremely comfortable. Okay, that is for majority of people. 30 tokens per second is something that is fast enough to work with. A lot of people can work at slower speed, and unfortunately, there's people like me that require a little bit more speed. Otherwise, they get frustration. I'm saying this because there is too much thinking of what is the right speed. There is no right speed. There is something that needs to work connected to you. Now, higher speed is never a big deal. Okay, so you have something super fast, good. You read it, and therefore the AI just wait for you instead of you waiting for AI. There is another problem that might come out, and that is something that I'm going to tell you so you don't go into that trap. So something that is really fast, it makes you feel like, okay, I don't need to prompt it well, because if the output is not good, I prompt it again. Okay, and that is the tendency of a human. Okay, we are extremely lazy people, so we start to say, okay, I'm gonna give you this prompt. It's like a slot machine, okay, and see, okay, this is good. I take it. It's not good. I give you another one and see until I got something that I'm happy with. So we need to avoid that kind of thinking. We need to actually strategize, work properly, and achieve the output that we want by giving a really high quality prompt to the AI. Then it's always about interacting. So when I explain the living archive, okay, this long-term memory, why is so important is because the model, which is extremely important, but is nothing, okay, it's nothing unless has our knowledge. So the moment that we share our knowledge, the AI can reason within our system, and therefore what it tells us makes sense. And that is how the game changes. So the moment that you can't trust OpenAI and Anthropic, so you can't really use Claude and GPT 5.5 for this kind of thinking, because it would be not clever, let's say, to share your personal intimate data with those machines. And a lot of it, okay? Because you won't be able to do it, or you shouldn't do it, then those machines can be as powerful as you want, but they can't do the work that a smaller one, a cheaper one that run locally can do. Because now you can have a level of trust with the system. You can trust the system, and then have so much knowledge, so the output is incredible. Now, when I done my test, I gave a lot of knowledge. Was kind of different knowledge, okay, but I gave a lot of knowledge to those frontier model system, and then to other smaller one. So I tested those frontier model, GPT 5.5, Gemini, and so on. Okay, then Minimax, M3, GLM 5.2, and then as a local model, I tested Qwen 3.6, 27 billion, and 35 billion with 3 billion active parameters. And in honesty, okay, Qwen 3.6, 27 billion was extremely good. I placed it as a second best, and the first best was GLM 5.2. This is without censoring, without anything. In the sense, I gave the same exact prompt to all of them with the same knowledge to all of them, and they came out with an output. Then I took this output, I gave to another AI, and I asked to rate the output for quality of reasoning and so on. Okay, so I got this output, and the AI organized them in a specific order. Then I did my own ordering, okay, and say which one was the best. According to the AI, first was GLM 5.2, and then was GPT 5.5 thinking, because if you use without thinking, it's just unusable. I did an experiment with not thinking and arrived last, okay, it was the least intelligent system. And third, the computer put Qwen 3.6, 27 billion. Have in mind this, that the computer didn't know, the AI that analyzed this didn't know which model. It just received an output. So look at the output, analyze the output. It didn't know which model created. It just knew this is the output. I need to compare to each other and see which one give the high level strategic thinking and so on. Was third, okay? But when I read, as a person, when I read, I would put Qwen 3.6, 27 billion as a second, which is insane if you think about it. It's such a small model, it's 27 billion. GPT 5.5 is probably around 2-3 trillion parameters. GLM 5.2 is around 750 billion parameters. The two ones that arrived first for my liking, okay, and for AI analysis were open source model. AI first and third, for me was first and second. That is something really interesting. There's a lot of reasons why those frontier models didn't reach the top. On this specific kind of work, you don't want a sycophantic model. You don't want something that is give you an output that just is a list of bullet points. You need something to reason with and go deeper, analyze, strategize, and challenge you. So GPT 5.5, the not thinking, was just looking to please you. Was the output was completely unusable. It's just zero, okay? It's just nothing usable out of the output. So if you need to do a summary, yeah, it's good, it's fast, it's great, translation is great, but if you need to do some thinking, something that is complex, it's tough, okay? You need something that does reasoning. But the reasoning version of GPT 5.5 was still too structured in a way that it was I don't know, it was tough to interact. So similar, but was even worse. Was Minimax, because they had a quality output, but Minimax has this output that was kind of it was writing a code. Okay, so you had to transfer those thinking into an environment that actually is not code. It's not so structured. It needs to be a little bit more fluid, more human, basically. GLM did a great job, and for me, I realized that when 3.6, 27 billion is good enough. That is a kind of a moment of life changing, because you always have this, 27 billion versus a few trillions. Is it good enough? As today, I can tell you that I personally going to invest in this direction. So having a sovereign system that can I can trust with my personal data already wins over a more intelligent system that doesn't know anything about me. And as I said, we can't have those systems that train on your own data. They used to profiling you to have access to such a complex and advanced knowledge about yourself. So they are auto excluded from this kind of work. So they might be better, doesn't even matter. Okay, first of all, they didn't show to be better to me, and but second, it's they are not usable, so doesn't matter. The fact that we can run it locally now requires a little bit of thinking because running those models locally is not that cheap. And it's doable for a lot of people. This is something that is worth the investment, but it's not cheap. So, what are those kind of hardware? Ideally, the best case scenario is to have a system that has at least 32 gigabytes of RAM. Okay, it can run on even 24, but you start to have over quantized system, short context window. So 32 is really the sweet spot. Now, 32 gigabytes of RAM you can find in different kind of environment, and I'm talking about all unified RAM or VRAM. Okay, so unified RAM is the one that is inside the DGX Spark, and a similar is the one that inside the Apple computer kind of CPU, and other there is gonna be come out the RTX Spark new chip that is coming out in a few months that will be on Windows. So there are a lot of different options. Then there are VRAM. Okay, this is the video RAM, the one that is run inside the video card. So any powerful PC game that has 24 or 32 gigabytes of RAM can run this, and those cards actually can run this model at faster speed. Okay, so if you get the Mac Studio M3 Ultra, the most powerful system for AI at the moment from Apple, and that one, $15,000, okay, is insane the cost. That one is actually has the same speed of those mid-range kind of a video card, okay, for gaming. If you get the RTX 5090 from Nvidia, okay, 32 gigabyte of RAM, extremely fast. They have more than double the speed of the Mac Studio. This is the bandwidth for the memory. It allows the token per second to go really fast. So it's really dependent of what kind of token per second you are comfortable with. If you're one of those people that are lucky, that can work with slower token per second, also means that you can save money. If you need speed, this is about yourself, okay? It's not right or wrong. But if you need speed, then you need to spend more money, and unfortunately for you, that is the truth. Now, at the moment, I own an equivalent of the GTX Spark, okay? Is the Asus GX10. This machine is beautiful, has 128 gigabyte of unified memory. So I can load almost anything, including these 27 billion parameter from Quen. The only problem is that run at 10, 12 tokens per second. I saw yesterday on the internet that there are people, I don't know how, I need to learn, that can run it at 20 tokens per second, which is double my speed, but still nothing compared to what I actually need to stay comfortable. So that is the reality. It depends of the hardware. There are other models like the one that I'm using at the moment, that is Quen 3.6, 35 billion, with only 3 active billion parameters. And because there are only 3, what you have a lot of speed. At the moment, the model runs around 60 token per second as an average. Okay, sometimes go lower, sometimes go up to 70, lower to 50. It depends on the context window of what it's doing. But that is how it run on my machine. That means it's pretty good. So now this model, which is can run faster, it helps you because it's faster, but it doesn't have the level of quality output that can be compared to the 27 billion. That is the pain. Okay? This is the pain we are living in. There is this company that has optimized, fine-tuned basically, from my understanding, they have fine-tuned the when 3.6, 35 billion with 3 billion active parameters. It's called Ornif. And what they managed to do is to improve on that one. Now, I haven't had a chance to test it, but for my understanding, they're also optimizing more for coding. Nevertheless, it makes sense to check. Maybe this Ornif new system is actually better also for this high level thinking and strategy and so on. Anyway, that is something that it's out there that we should check. But what is the point here? So what I can see, this is the trend. More time pass and more those small models become more intelligent per token. Even though the parameters are stay the same, the amount of parameters they have available for doing this reasoning, the output is more intelligent. When I bought my hardware, I had access to some specific model. Now, 3 months, 4 months later, I have other models that are much better than before. That same hardware is gaining value in the sense of value for what I can get out of it. I'm not saying that you should now invest your, this $10,000 and buy this incredible computer. You need to do your math by yourself. But I'm telling you, there is an advantage of running this local model. Today is possible, and the output is incredible. And then you have something that not just is private, 100% yours, you control it, and so on, but also can work 24/7. So you can do intellectual work if you need to, or you can do like a coding, experiment, image creation, and so on the rest of the time. Having this AI working for you 24/7 for you, and it's free. Once you have it, it's free. Remember this, it's yours. Can work for you forever. In last thinking, make a business plan around it and see that it's hard to justify financially such an expensive machine to run something locally when you have a cloud that is so cheap. That is a sort of illusion. This cloud is not going to be cheap forever, and you can't trust the company that removes those access to those agents or whatever they want, and then you are into an architecture that you don't control. So it's true that at the moment the math is it's kind of unbalanced, but have this in mind. Something that you own and control, you can build a business around it. Something that someone else control, your business is extremely in danger. Okay, you can't be sure that what you're building is going to be affordable and be able to run it over time. If you stay until now, you are one of us. There is a community of 1,700 people that is growing every single day. And we learn from each other, we share our project, we build together. We have calls Monday to Friday where we meet and evolve this community in different direction. Sometimes we talk about AI, sometimes we do experiment, sort of micro hackathon. Sometimes there are community member, they introduce their project to the community. If this is something that you're interested, find the link in the description. It's a Discord server, and I would love to see you there. Thanks for staying until now. Like and subscribe, and watch the next video. Ciao!